I thought I was just being cool, calm, and collected. But I guess that's what people like. So
Yeah,
just me on a daily basis.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what people love is like authenticity, and you're just like authentic from the get go. So
All right, yeah, because I'm not all for like putting on a show or being like the famous person. Like I was always a quiet kid in school. It's like people just attract to me from my quietness, and I'm just like, all right, well,
The piece.
all
There's
right.
the piece.
yeah.
So okay, we finally got started. Sorry everybody.
Um,
We're going to the Backyard page just to go through a little bit technical difficulties, but this will be transferred over. So I guess we'll start. So three, two, one. Welcome to Joshua's Jungle, where we discuss everything outdoors, wildlife, and adventure. Our special guest today is a arborist, an angler, and a nomad. Trey Thomas from Outlast Season 2 fame. So thank you, Trey, for coming on. Like I said, apologies for the technical difficulties earlier on, but we finally got something happening. So thank you so much for being
Yes, sir. Not a problem. Not a problem at all.
on. And next to me is my co-host, Callie.
Allie. All right. How is everybody tonight?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just get into it. Callie, you have the first question.
Yeah. So we were just kind of wondering, like, before the show, like, what big adventures have you done? Like, mountains climbed, or, we're big hikers. We just like to know where everybody goes.
I gotcha. Well, I kind of started off in I was really a worker, city life all day, every day. And, once I started, getting tired of the 9 to 5, people talking to me every day, me having to do the fake smiles and whatnot, I was just like, let me kind of just sit to myself for a while. And I was really big into fishing. So, just always being out by the water, you see all these animals and stuff going by. And once you start fishing, you see all these little side trails going off into bushes and whatnot. So that's what got me into trailing, and then, going on little small hikes here and there. And everybody asks, like, how did you get started? Literally going on a hike. You start with the hike, going out for about an hour in, take a little quick break, sit down, look around, and an hour back, you've almost spent half your day out in the woods and you don't even know it. Time flies so fast when it's so quiet and you don't have all this bustle of the city. It like you feel like life is just passing you by once you're out there.
Yeah, it's so nice, so beautiful. You live in a nice area in North Carolina, on the woods.
Yeah, I'm really loving it. Like we're out here on 20 acres right now with the family land. I mean, I wake up every day, go squirrel hunting, looking for raccoons and possum. I'm out here picking out mushrooms, looking at deer tracks and coyote droppings. Like we're just waiting, So dove season just started. So I'm definitely in my habitat right now.
That's
awesome.
perfect. Yeah. So with your upbringing, was it like did you get into fishing like by yourself, or was it more like you're with like another family member? How did you get into fishing exactly?
Fishing, I actually am. It started with a couple of my skater buddies because I was doing downhill longboarding for a long time, and I had a really serious wreck to where I hit a curb doing about 45. I fractured my sternum. I put a hole in my small intestine, a hole in my pancreas, had internal bleeding. And they were like, we got to keep you in the hospital. I was in there for about 3 months in San Antonio, Texas. And once I got out, doctor was just like, we know you're going to go back to skating, but you probably shouldn't. So I was like, all right, well, now I have to look for something else to burn my time. And by then, most of my skater buddies were either already fishing or going to fishing. So I had that connection and, a couple people to show me spots and tricks and all that. So, I went out a couple times with them, and then I just got hooked. Once you catch that first bass and you're sitting there fighting bluegills, I'm like, yep, that's kind of what I want to do. So, then went to catfish, carp, and everything else. And, fishing just been my main thing. You can go out there for a couple hours and catch dinner for most of your week.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
What is there like a favorite type of fish that you like to catch the most, or is it you kind of like love them all? Like, is there a favorite one that you like to go after?
So traveling the country, my goal has been to catch one fish in every state. But if I had to choose, it would definitely be carp. I know a lot of people don't eat them, and a lot of people don't fish for them because they're like catfish, they're trash fish.
Right.
But You have to be like super gentle with the hook because they're not like most fish. They don't have bones in their lip. So, you horse them too much, the hook's just going to come out. So you actually have to like pay attention. I mean, some of these carp get up to like, anywhere from 70 to 80 pounds, and you're sitting here trying to be gentle with a small baby hook. So if I had to choose, it would definitely be carp. So those are definitely my favorite fish to catch.
Oh, cool. Okay. So we just wanted to go into like a little bit of your background, kind of how you got started into like enjoying nature and everything. How did you even get picked to be on Outlast the second season? Did you watch the first season? Like how did that transition happen?
So I actually watched all of the Alone seasons that they had up on Netflix, and then Outlast season 1 was the very next thing that came up.
Yeah.
And I probably watched it a whole year before I got the call, and like I had forgot about the show completely. Of course, it rung in the back of my head. Those ladies were crazy. But, my mom
those ladies were crazy.
I know exactly.
Yeah, definitely have an imprint back there. But my mom actually does a lot of TV. She's been on like P-Valley. She's been on a couple Netflix movies, and she does like stand-in. She's been on stand-in for like Loretta Devine. So she gets a lot of calls and whatnot. And so she actually got the call to go on Outlast, but my mom kind of hates the outdoors. We're like, we get bit by a mosquito, ant, bee, anything, we swell up like we got in a fight.
Right.
So she doesn't really do the outdoors. So she was like, oh, my son loves it. He's always outside. I'll stay at her house. And she had like a 4-bedroom house the last time I went and visit. I'd rather sleep out in my van in the driveway than in her house in a bed with blankets and everything else. Like, that's just how I've been for a very long time. And I got the first casting call, and then once they did the video call, they were like, dude, you're like perfect, you're exactly what we want. And then we had probably had a total like 5 or 6 video calls, and every single one it was like, oh dude, you're perfect, everything you're saying is right on point, you're just what we're looking for. And it was just like cake work after those first couple videos.
That's awesome.
So do they kind of like pick some people that will just like fluff the show a little bit? Like, they definitely pick a lot of people from different walks of life, because you have Joe, who's a mechanic, or you have Joseph, who's a mechanic, you had chef, you had people who are ex-military, you got lawyers, you got people who are mountaineers. They definitely, season 1, I can say they kind of were all in the same area, but season 2, they really wanted to, spruce it up and get, people from all over. And I think that's what made that dynamic so strong.
That's really cool. Yeah. So before like, the whole ceremony, like getting picked for whatever team, like were you able to interact with each other, like on the way there, like on the plane ride or anything like that? Like, were you able to talk to each other?
So I can say 100% no. They made it very clear that, on the way there, we couldn't, tell family what was going on, nothing like that. I mean, of course, the people in my house knew what was going on because they watched me packing my gear, doing the videos and stuff.
Yeah.
But we couldn't tell anyone at all, like sign confidential, like everything was like legit. I was actually on the plane with Julio, and I didn't even know it. Like, I remember looking, I was like, man, he's all geared up. I think he might be going.
Yeah.
And when we're sitting in the same transition airport, and we're just kind of like looking at each other, looking away, looking at each other. And then when we got to Alaska, they had one of the representatives, they would come and pick you up, get you to the car. And I mean, they're on walkie-talkies from the time they pick you up to the time you get to your room. And they're like, I got contestant 1 over here. Who's where? All right, I'm walking them through right now. So they made sure 100% that we never ran into each other, never talked to each other. They literally rented out a whole hotel, so everybody was separated and away from each other. They were really strict about it. Even on the boat ride, as they walked us down to the boat, they gave us the rules once again not to speak to anybody. They told us, if you guys start a conversation, there's a high chance that you'll be taken off right then and there. So, on that boat ride, as you see all of us just looking around, we literally like didn't know anything, couldn't say anything. You're literally sizing people up from what they're wearing and how they're acting.
How long was the boat ride from like the hotel to the...
We kind of lost track, to be honest, because I mean, of course, a lot of us never been to Alaska, so you have bald eagles everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing seals. We saw some whales come by, so it's like beautiful. You're literally just sitting there watching the GoPro go flying by while you're on the boat, and you're just like, "Oh man, this is cool." Kind of looking at everybody. You know, you don't want to make eye contact because it's kind of weird talking to them. Well, you know, you kind of lose track, but we were pretty far from town, so it wasn't like, you know, a 20-30 minute ride. It was quite a while.
How was like the camera crew with you guys? Like obviously like they're always there, but at night do they give you guys like your own cameras so you're kind of doing some filming, or you know, is a lot of drone work? Like are they just always there?
So every team had their own filming crew. So you had about 3 camera guys, 1 director, and then during the day there was 2 security guards there. So they have some off-duty sheriffs there because, you know, we still have bears and everything else in the way. So, you know, they were instructed to, you know, the security could never talk to us. You know, sometimes the camera guys would ask us something, you know, but it was just to like get us to talk because we're all like quiet people. So they're like, oh, it's kind of dead. You know,
we
what
were
if
gonna ask that, like if some of it was like scripted or if they like prompt you guys at all just like to kind of chat about some things.
No, not at all. I mean, sometimes they would ask us, you know, hey, what if you said it this way or that? But they gave you the option whether you wanted to say it or not. You know, a lot of times, you know, we're not robots. So half of the time, you know, unless everybody from Alpha, we're just like, I don't talk like that. But, you know, I can kind of, you know, try to say it a different kind of way or something. But for the most part, no, there was no script whatsoever. The only paperwork we got are the animals that we could not kill and could not eat. That was literally the only paperwork we got.
So what was that list? What was on like the do not kill list?
Of course, bears and moose, because you have to be a local. And like, I think a bear ticket was like $18,000 for like the license to kill a bear. So not 18,000, I'm sorry, 1,800 to kill a bear. Yeah, sorry, that's way out of line. But you know, bears, moose, a couple of the out of season game. We had a few like ducks, and that was pretty much it. I mean, there's like a few minks and stuff like that. Sorry, mosquito season.
You're an element.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the list wasn't too big, but I mean, we saw quite a few animals that we couldn't kill, so we're sitting there with the phone like,
definitely limits you for sure.
Yeah. Couple songbirds and whatnot, but you know, I'm out there taking some practice shots, and as I'm taking my shots, the bird would come and land right beside my target, and I'm like, lunch.
Like I want to eat you so bad.
Yeah, the camera people actually came, and there was like a little mink or something that walked by, and he kind of just strolled because he knew he couldn't get killed. I looked at Tanya, I was like, we can't kill it, can we? Yeah, she wanted to take it home and keep it as a pet. I'm looking at everything.
You befriend all the animals instead. You're just like hanging out with them.
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to find a little badger or something like, hey, go hunt for me, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get something to hunt for. Yeah, that would be perfect. Were there any like situations or anything that like happened during the filming of the show that wasn't on the show that you wish was like shown?
Most definitely there was a lot of things that were cut out. So like I said, there was 4 camera crews for 4 teams. If I'm not mistaken, the whole entire season had to be cut down to like 400 hours. And I think each film crew filmed over, I want to say, I mean, it had to be like 800 to 900 hours per team. So they had to chop all that up and make it into 400 hours. So there was definitely a lot that was cutting out. But I think the most thing that, you know, I'm not going to say a lot of people came at me, but, you know, a lot of people didn't understand why we voted bio off. And what they cut out is that we all sat down and we had a group meeting and we all took a vote saying that we weren't going to go over to Bravo and start anything. Like, we wanted to go over there, see if they were eating, seeing if they were healthy, wanted to go home. Like, we wanted to make sure we didn't have a threat before we started something. And we all raised our hand. We agreed. And he went over there, didn't pay attention to anything. And Zach said they had found like a big pot that had washed up on shore. So the 2 cans that he gave him, they didn't even, or the 2 cans that he stole, they didn't need. And then on top of that, he agreed that he wouldn't steal anything. So, that was kind of the big thing. So for me to have to go over there when it wasn't even my idea to steal anything, to go over there, take the stuff back, apologize, look weak, and then, them giving us an ultimatum, I was like, I got their side of the story. I got my team side of the story. And then on top of that, you have Zach and Tanya, their minds were already made up. And I'm like, man, if I keep him here, then that'll be me and Bio against Zach and Tanya. And then we have whole team Bravo that already hated him. So, it would be a 2-man team instead of a whole team. So, I kind of talked to myself on the way back. And I was like, man, I'm burning energy. I don't have this, that, and that. And by then the tide had came down and I'm walking through the mud. Literally my boot gets stuck and I just face plant into the mud.
Oh no.
And, the camera people can't help you. They can't say anything. So she's just in my face with the camera like,
oh, that's terrible.
So I do a little push up. I'm like, he's going home. And I just kind of get up and get the mud out my glove. Like, all right, it's happening. So, it wasn't set in stone until I went over there and they say he bragged about it. If you were to steal the stuff, try to hide it, or, even if you just stole it and walk away, they couldn't touch him. They couldn't do anything. So for him to sit there, pour it out in their face, one, he poured out fresh water that we could have drunk.
Right,
he poured it out in their face and to brag about it. I'm like, that's like so childish. Like the whole thing we talked about as a group was being integrity, paying. We didn't want to go out there to a game show. We wanted to go out there and show our survival skills because that's what it was. So just for him to stoke up the drama just to go home, I mean, I think he kind of did it to himself.
Right. And it was pretty early on, it seemed like, in the show, too. Like, what day was it? Like, it was like the first couple days, wasn't it? When that happened?
Yeah, it was like day 5 or 6. It was right after he killed the squirrel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were definitely still in the first week. It wasn't like right away, but it was still pretty early. And I think that was it. Like, everybody was expecting people to be gone by then.
Right.
So his whole thing was, let's try to make him tap out. Well, you definitely didn't do that. So,
yeah, he just got himself kicked out.
Exactly. So you wanted the show to start, you started it. I mean, so.
Can you guys like combine teams? Like, are you allowed to have 8 people like on one team and then like just let your team kind of fade out, I guess, until the end?
So they did add a new rule. That's another thing they took out. About halfway through, they came and dropped, season 1, they had, the fishing gear drop, the new sleeping bag. So I think
they had like 3 drops right away, and then
exactly
you waited so many days.
Exactly. So the day before Zach got hurt, we heard the helicopter coming in. We saw him dropping packages. We're like, all right, here's our first care package. We get the package. It's just a net with a letter that says, there's a new rule that now you can have up to 5 people on your team. And we're just like, that's all we get? We get a piece of paper? Yeah, so, you can always make an alliance that's totally against, not against any rules or whatever, but they definitely had a cap on how many people could be in a team.
Right.
Yeah, we were wondering because we were like, it could just be like sides against sides, basically, and like
and that was the alliance we made with Bravo, that we were going to work together until the other side had all quit.
Yeah.
So after that alliance, they didn't show up at all? Like, you had no interaction after that? Or was that
No. Once they saw Bio go home, we had Zach fall out like 2 days later. And then I think like 3 or 4 days later, Tanya had blacked out from hypodermia.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and then if she didn't black out, because I was, there attending with her and all that stuff, later that night was the first night I was able to like take my boots off, relax, get my comfy, and both of my feet were blue and purple. So I ended up catching a frostbite in both of my feet. So, if she would have never went home, I would have probably lost my feet. And that's why I'm so grateful for her, because I skate. And if I couldn't skate, I would be a way grumpier person. So like,
if I didn't have my feet, I'd just be a grumpy person.
Yeah.
I don't know how I could do walking around like a double pirate,
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So with like Zach seemed like he was kind of taking on the leadership role, like from the beginning. Like, how was that dynamic throughout that?
I can say that me and Tanya kind of found it funny because we aren't like the leader type, but we don't like to be led either.
Right.
So we kind of just like let him think. What do you think? I mean, by all means, he's not a bad guy. He was totally talking about family. You know, we had a lot of good talks and friends and all that stuff. Um, but you know, he did want to be the first one to kill something with the bow. He wanted to set up the tent. You know, we kind of just split up tasks. But you know, if it ever felt like, you know, somebody was overstepping their boundary, we never had real like confrontation. You know, we would split up and, you know, just go and cool down in our own little area. So I mean, I can say it was there, but it also at the same time wasn't. So it's kind of hard unless you were there. But you know, you could feel the tension, but it wasn't like we were going like button heads or anything.
I gotcha.
Well, it's gotta be hard, like just meeting somebody and then you don't even know who's gonna be on your team because you're just kind of getting picked like dodgeball almost, and then you have to like sleep with these people and like fend for your life almost, and that
Exactly.
is scary and intense in itself.
Yeah, definitely. Especially seeing that all of us are loners. You know, we kind of get along with people if we have to be in the area, but for the most part, we wouldn't probably run into each other on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So when they're doing like the one-on-one interviews and you're kind of like saying your thoughts on the situation itself, like would it be like right then and there, or would it like some time would have passed? Like how did that kind of work?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, it depends on like the situation. You know, a lot of it they let us just kind of like go through the motions, and they'll probably ask you like a day or two later. But a lot of it they kind of just waited until the very end. It was like, all right, you know, think back to when this happened. How were you feeling? What was going on, and stuff like that. So all of it wasn't right then and there, but you know, they still kind of played it back for you in your head, so you kind of back in the moment.
I gotcha. Yeah. So we had this question too. We're thinking about it. If you like had the axe from the get go, what would have been your choices? What would have been your team?
Hands down, I would have picked Tanya first.
Yeah,
we knew that.
Yeah, like because it's like you see all these people from different ages and whatnot. There's a reason there's an older lady here between all the people that apply for this show and whatnot. There's a reason she was there. And I think everybody looked over that fact, you know, and then whenever it came to her telling her traits, she wasn't like out there, oh, I can do this, I can do that. She's just like, I get shit done. And it's like, all right.
Straightforward.
So hands down, I would have got Tanya first, and then I would have went for Mountain Man. Because he just, you know, everybody was watching him on the boat ride. Everybody started like suiting up, probably like 5 minutes in. Everybody's zipping up their zippers. He's just out there taking his hat off, just enjoying the cold air breeze on his face. I'm like, that guy. And then it's like Joseph was out there. He's like, you know, heart of a Mack truck. I understand he's a mechanic. I'm a shade tree mechanic. So, you know, I figure like we had a lot in common. Then he's from Louisiana. Those people from the bayou are a little different.
Yeah.
So if you've ever been through there, like they see gators on a daily, they're like smacking them on the nose. He's out hog hunting with his dogs. Like I was like, all right, you know, that definitely would have been hands down my team.
That would have been a great team.
That
for
would have
sure.
been a good team.
We were even saying like, I know Joseph ends up going on to Mountain Man's and Joseph's team. I think were they team Delta? Yeah, they were Delta. I think.
Yeah, they were Delta.
Yeah, and we were like saying, oh, once Joseph enters their team, we were saying throughout watching it, we're like, oh man, we wish this was Trey. We wish Trey joined this team. You know, like we totally saw that like would have been a great connection, but like. Honestly, like you had great integrity the whole show, like throughout the whole show, and you stayed with your team. You stayed loyal throughout the end, and that was very admirable. You know what you did there, and like that connection you had with Tanya, like that. It seemed like you guys were very kindred spirits. Like it was really cool.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't know is that Tanya is actually the same age as my real mom. And I'm actually the same age as Tanya's daughter. So it was like, we were like we've been around each other the whole time. Like the whole time I'm calling her mom. Like even now I'll call her, text her, hey, what's going on today, mom? How you feeling? Like, I talk to her daughter all the time.
How close you guys still were, like if you did like holidays or, you know, if you talk a
Well,
lot.
she's actually all the way on the west side. So early in the year, I went over to California to go and do a survival class for younger adults trying to get out to the outdoors. I had planned to get up there to her, but I drove over there and it was a long drive and all this kind of stuff, so we didn't get to link up. But come next year, I will be going back out there just to go and meet her first, and supposed to be meeting up with Tina, doing some photography and whatnot. And then, I'll be trying to travel the country next year. So I'll be getting my passport, seeing, because I got a lot of fans out in France, love you guys. France, Australia, UK, England, like they are really loving me and they're showing me like so much love. So I definitely want to go out and see a lot of people who come next year.
Do you have any upcoming like adventures or like bigger events that are right around the corner or anything like that?
I'm kind of just playing off of my surgery. So since I do have to do some surgery on my back in October, I want to see what that recovery time is like. Because right now I'm not supposed to be lifting over 10 pounds. So I'm really on like a really big restriction right now. So that's why I'm kind of just doing light work around the house. My grandpa's here helping out to make sure, I'm not doing too much and the workload isn't just on me. So once I get the okay from my doctor, or at least enough to where I can move around comfortably, if I can at least travel and meet these people, would be cool. I mean, I can go for walks and stuff like that. Not saying I'm gonna be doing some mountain climbing and whatnot, but just to go out and see people and spend some time, I think is enough for me.
Yeah, you
What
can see the
exactly
Eiffel Tower and
happened?
Big Ben.
I was just lifting too much at work. I ended up lifting around like 1,500 pounds. It was a electric pallet jack and like a metal trash cart full of like 2x4 woods. It got stuck in between the elevator jack. So, I just took a long 2x4, proper lifting, squatted it, lifted it 3 times on each side. And, I didn't feel anything. I may be skinny, but I got a lot of muscle in weird places. So,
you definitely are strong. Yeah.
I mean, I've been working since I was like 14, 15, and I've worked in so many different trades. Like I couldn't name them all in an hour. So, I've always been a workhorse. I don't like to sit down and be a slouch. So this is actually like irritating that I have to sit down, take breaks, and I can't do that much. Like I could twist the wrong way and I'm upset. So, I mean, just trying to help people and just did too much.
Oh my God. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, it seems like you're on the up and up. Like it seems like you're definitely on the road to recovery.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of physical therapy. I've been working with this. I think it happened like right before my birthday in February. So I've literally just been going to physical therapy. I've had the steroid spine shots, and it's just slowly progressing. I have been getting better. I have a little bit more flexibility, but I mean, I can go out squirrel hunting with a pellet rifle. If I'm looking up too long, my back starts to lock up. So, it's just certain things that I can't do that, I can't even sit in my kayak for too long. It's just little things that irritate me.
Did they say like how long the recovery process is going to be, or it's kind of like undetermined?
Yeah, not yet, because they're saying that, not saying I'm like a special case, but since I'm so young, this usually happens to people in their older age where their back starts to go out or disc slip. So, in their older ages, they want to put rods and pins, but I'm so young. If I were to start getting metal in my body now, I'd probably be in some pretty bad shape by the time I hit like 40, 45.
Right. Yeah. And you want your body to kind of like push through it.
Naturally heal.
Be able to go fishing and hunting and stuff.
Yeah, I would be crushed if I had to sit here and watch deers walk past my damn property.
Well, seems like you got enough property where you can probably sit outside your house.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, at this point, I'm kind of scared to shoot a shotgun. Throw my shoulder.
You don't want the impact. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite type of game that you like to go hunting for?
Right now, I mean, I really just like hunting squirrel because that's all I've really been on. I do set snares and traps for like hogs and rabbits and stuff like that, but I haven't really gone like active game hunting. I mean, every now and then, I'll come across, some skulls or, something like that, raccoon skulls.
So
but,
That's
Yeah, I
cool.
have a whole bunch of little
In your little
trinkets
cabin.
and whatnot, like owl feathers and
Oh, wow.
vultures. You know, I go out quite a bit, and I think I find more stuff scavenging than I do actually like going out hunting and getting it myself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Every time I see a feather like from a blue jay or a cardinal, I always have to pick it up. I always pick it up.
You
And then,
have to, man. They're good
yeah.
luck. You got to.
And I almost feel like I like accumulated so much. I'm like, oh man, I got to make something out of this now. I have so many feathers all over the place now.
Right. And that's what it is. I just have a stockpile of stuff. I have somebody come visit. I'm like, hey, here's a feather.
Great. That's
Yeah, I
so
like making my own little tools, and you got to work on your bow drills because you don't want to wait until you actually need it to learn how to do it. So,
right.
I have a whole bunch of sticks laying around. I like to make my own long bows and whatnot. So, it's just a practice that you get through.
Oh, that's great. So, with the show, like after season 2, after the show came out, have you had any opportunities or anything like that kind of opened up after the show?
I've had a couple interviews. I mean, of course, I was with Project Live that did the survival class for the kids. But for the most part, I mean, I've had people wanting me to come out to places and do things like that. But they're mostly out of country, so it's really hard to travel having 3 dogs and 2 cats. So I kind of do what I can, for the most part. I love doing podcasts, just talking to people, from a distance. Don't don't get me wrong, don't tell people about my experience. Like even out in the daily day, like I don't really say I've been out on a show or on Netflix because people automatically think, oh, he's rich, he's got this, he got that. Like
Right.
I just like to be outside, and I got seen for it. So unless I'm actually sitting down and talking to someone for a long time, they'll never know I was on TV.
Has there ever been like a point like where you're just like walking down the street or like at a restaurant or something, and someone like recognized you or anything like that?
Probably when the show, right when the season finale came out, I actually went to the pawn shop to go get my first shotgun. And I was sitting there. I mean, I was like almost through the project, and somebody was like, "Dude, you're not on like Alone or anything like that, are you?" I was like, "Outlast." He's like, "Oh, I knew it was you. Me and my girlfriend watched the episode last night. We knew it was you." But yeah, I've only had like 2 people notice me out of this whole year and some change. So it's definitely a cool experience. But I'm not really like a flashy guy. So if somebody calls me out in public, I probably, hey, come here, let me take a picture with you real quick. I would hate to get swarmed, to be honest. I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah. Those are probably like pretty niche people anyway, like into survival shows and stuff. Like not everybody's watching those. So when they do recognize you, they're probably pretty cool people, I would think. But,
yeah, I mean, I've definitely got a few looks where people are like in Home Depot or something. They're kind of hitting me with a little side eye, like it might be, Yeah, because right after the show, I cut my hair off, so I just started growing it back out. So for a long time, I had a little mini fro, and so it was kind of hard to recognize me. But I'm back.
So like on like all your adventures, has there ever been any like close calls or close encounters with like predators or wildlife or anything like that where you're like, oh, this is a little dangerous?
I can say from all of my adrenaline rushes, I don't really freak out. When we were in Tennessee, of course, I set up my tent in the woods. It was just a totally like open park, and we set up there for like almost like a month and a half. Sleep one night, cook me some dinner, just put everything out, was going to bed, and maybe I was, dozing off, and all of a sudden my chihuahuas all stand up and they're all on guard. You see their hair up, their tails up, and I'm like, what's going on? Pull out my gun, and all of a sudden you start hearing footsteps. And then, I'm hearing one in front, one in the back, and all of a sudden I see something slide across the side of my tent like a whole body print. And I'm like, I listen for a minute, and you start hearing it. It's coyotes. It was a whole pack of coyotes.
Wow.
And they started going there chirping and talking. I was like, all right, that's a pack of coyotes. So I'm just sitting here at the door because my dogs are gun shy. So I can't sit here and just shoot through the tent or, shoot out the door and make them run off because my dogs will run outside. And then I got to figure out what's my dog and what's a coyote. Yeah. So I literally had to sit there and be quiet. I mean, I hear them checking out my tent because I had just went fishing. So it still smelled like fish guts. And like you can hear them, like it was a whole litter. and I just had to chill out. And once I heard them, they walked off, and they actually went to my van. I had squirrel tails hanging from. I went out to Joseph, and we went squirrel hunting and stuff. So I had some squirrel tails hanging from my van.
Cool.
Yeah, they actually went over and they took the squirrel tails off my van.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, besides that, I've been surrounded by a couple of big hogs also out there with Joseph. Middle of the night, I hear them. I mean, I was less than 10 feet away and I had 3 big hogs surrounding me. And then I've been charged by a 10-point buck. And he sees me and I'm kind of just standing still, and I was gonna go ahead and take him out, but as soon as I pull my gun out my chest pocket, he hits a quick left and he just takes off into the bush. So I mean, just being out there, a key to save anybody would just be not freak out.
Right.
You turn, you run. Like, a lot of animals have their perception of where they can see your eyes, they see your face, they can see when you're looking at them and when you're turned away. So if you keep that eye contact and just stand your ground, for the most part, they'll leave you alone.
Right. Wow. Okay.
easy.
It's a lot easier said than done. 100%.
I know. I don't know if I would be very still if I had any of those animals around my tent.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve.
Yeah, for sure. So after Outlast, has there been like any worth note adventures like you're just saying you're hunting with Joseph? Like, is there any like really stand out there adventures that you had that like are really big highlights like after the show?
No, hands down, me and Joseph going out gar hunting and hog hunting, that's definitely been my biggest hunt since the show.
Yeah.
After that, like not shortly after that is when I had my back injury.
Right.
So yeah, I haven't been able to get out that much. I was talking to Paul from season 1. He actually lives in Tennessee.
Cool.
So we're actually supposed to be going out on his boat to do some fishing. And Earl the hog snatcher, I don't know if you know him, they're really big on YouTube as well. They do a lot of big blue cat fishing.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so they're up in Washington. Mason, relax. Sorry, something running in the woods right now.
No, that's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, those are my alarms. They don't do much but alert me. But yeah, they're up in Washington. So I have a lot of family in Maryland. So they said my next trip up, we'll probably go out and do some fishing as well.
Great. Yeah. So how did you link up with Joseph with the hunt? Was it like, how did you guys even like connect? Because it didn't seem like you really met during the show. So was it like after the fact, or was it like after you watched the show? Like how did that work out?
We're actually, the whole cast actually are in a group chat. So we kind of check in on each other from time to time. Everybody kind of say what's going on with them.
Yeah.
And, if they got somebody that needs to do a shout out or something like that, we kind of all stay in contact. Like, even though we all didn't meet in the show, we really turned into like a big family. Like everybody has their own field. So like you got questions with publicity or, some lawyer stuff. Like we have the people in the group chat now. So, instead of asking random people, I'm like, all right, go to group chat. Let me ask Julio what's going on over here. So we actually do stay in contact.
That's cool. I was going to ask, because you said you were going to link up with Tina also to do some photography when you go out to California. And I was like, oh, that's cool, that thing. Like,
yeah. And I mean, I'm not a pro photographer, but I do love my camera, and I'm trying to get into it. And she has a lot of connections. She's been taking photo for a long time. She was actually out there in California for the Project Live, and we actually had the same camera, same lenses, and everything. So I was like, oh yeah, when I get back out here, we're gonna do some stuff together.
That's awesome.
Would you say there was a new season of Outlast and they're like kind of bringing back old members, would you go back on the show?
Without a doubt, 100%. I applied for a loan before Outlast, but without a question, if they brought me back to Outlast, I would go back. Actually preparing. So that's why I was like so calm and collected out there, because I was actually planning to go to a loan, and 9 times out of 10, a lot of those people don't eat much. So I had already prepared, not to eat. I was eating like one meal at the end of the day, working hard all day, try to get my body used to it for like 2 months before I even went on the show. So, that's kind of just how I live now. Like, I'm used to eating a small meal, working hard all day, because I want my body to stay in that I put in another application for season 3 of Outlast. I'll be putting it in for season 4. When the new season for Alone comes out. I'm also trying to get on Race Across America. Like, I don't want to be on a game show or a reality show. I actually want to do a survival show because we didn't have enough time to show our skills, and I have so much to show the world.
Yeah, it definitely felt at some points that they were just trying to show like funny bits, like the two Texas boys like making the shovel and stuff. And it was just like, okay, like they're not really it's not really like a survival show at that point. And one of the teams was saying that like we're not even focusing on survival aspects, like we're not going hunting and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, and that was one thing they did tell us. Like, season 1 was more about the drama and everything, so they wanted season 2 to be more about the survival and the skills. I mean, they recorded us, chopping wood, making traps, setting up the tents, and they really didn't show that much. But of course, they had to cram all that stuff into, compact season.
Right. Exactly. Is there like any sorry. So if you were like, have you been to Alaska prior to the show Outlast?
Nope, that was my very first time, and just from being there in that little bit of time, I already know like I want to go back out there and just live in the woods because they have so many people who just go out there, start their own little shelter, so much raw land, and like they want people to be out there. So like my first chance, once I get this place here in North Carolina situated, I'll be going there to start a new little campsite there and start building.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if there was like any wilderness that you could pick that you have to like thrive and survive in, what would that environment be?
I mean, I've always wanted to try ice fishing. It's just, I'm not too well with the cold now. Since the frostbite happened, my feet get cold really quick now. It's like, they said it'll go away over time, but no matter what, no matter how many layers I have on, my feet always get cold first now. So, I mean, I would really like a marshy, wet area because most people thought we were in like frozen over Alaska. The part of Alaska we were in is actually the biggest rainforest, well, the second biggest rainforest in America. So it was actually just rainy and wet the whole time. So, we were actually pretty chill out there except for when the hurricane came through. But if I had to choose, it would be a wet, marshy area because there's, plenty of mushrooms. You got your random, water and whatnot. So I would definitely pick the same area.
What was like your go-to meal while you're on the show? Was it like I noticed that you gathered some snails at a point where you and Tanya were sharing them. Was it that? Was it mushrooms? Like
yes, the banana slugs were definitely a go-to for me. I was probably the only person that ate the banana slugs. Everybody just thought I was crazy. But I'm actually allergic to seafood. So, they were all eating the shell crab or the rock crabs. And, I tried a few and I didn't have a breakout, but I was just like, let me stay on the safe side. I actually want to stay here. Yeah. So, my main diet was all mushrooms. They had so many different kinds of mushrooms, but they had an overload of chanterelles. And that's like number one mushroom you can find that's really hardy and really good for you at the same time. So besides that, I mean, I was making yarrow tea every day. It's kind of, help my stomach work through. But for the most part, it was just mushrooms.
That's cool.
I gotcha.
Mushrooms up
I'm
here.
on 4%, just to let you know.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm glad you like got that. Like obviously you've done a lot of research to like figure this out and like live out in the wilderness, So that's awesome. So if like how cold was like sleeping on the ground during the show? Like obviously some nights seemed like worse than others. Like was it just like completely frozen or will it like melt and then freeze? Like how was that?
It actually didn't freeze until the day I left. Of course, we had to stay in a hotel for like our outpatient or whatever. Like they have to make sure like you're still like normal and coherent and everything. So the very first night I left the show, the next morning we woke up and everything was frozen over outside. And the first thing I thought was, I think I picked a good day to tap out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure You know,
I
everybody
got
else
warm
woke up.
coffee and
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, the first 5 nights, I actually slept outside on the ground just next to the fire because it was so cool and cozy. And like we had so many layers, I was just chilling. But it definitely got bad because we actually had 2 hurricanes blow through while we were out there.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was a lot of wind. It did get pretty low. I mean, I think the lowest they had was like 30, like low 30s. And I mean, it got pretty bad to where me and Tanya woke up in the middle of the night, couldn't feel our hands and feet. And I was just like, all right, you get warm. I'm going to start tearing the tent. And I literally like closed half of it off and we started making it smaller, moving the fire in. So it got bad enough to where we had to change some stuff up. Just to let you know, my phone's on 2%, so it might die on you.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up. I just want to ask you a few quick questions. So have you had like any spiritual moments or anything like that going out in the wilderness, or like anything like awakening, like, whoa, this is like very intense, or like this is almost on the spectrum of like being spiritual?
I mean, plenty of times I'm out there just sitting and, you know, either what I'm thinking about or what I'm doing, it just hits me like, hey, there's no way I'm going to have, you know, all these squirrels coming by or, you know, finding patch after patch of mushrooms. It's like, it's not normal. I mean, depends on where you are. You can find a whole bunch of stuff, but it's just like, I don't go, you know, where you would normally find these things. I'm just walking like just out of whim.
Right.
And, you know, I look up and there's a patch of mushrooms on the tree, or I kick a log over and there's like a whole bunch of bugs that I can use for fishing.
Right.
So I've had plenty of instances where stuff is just where I can't believe it happened.
Yeah, it's like right when you need it, it kind of appears to you. That's cool.
Exactly.
So, okay, these are going to be rapid fire questions. What's your favorite animal?
I'm definitely going to say a white Siberian tiger.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm down with that. All right.
If I had to choose a wild pet, it would be an otter.
Oh, that would be really cool. Yeah. Okay. Favorite dinosaur? We got to discuss that.
I can go with the raptor. You know, quick, agile, pack animal, smart, pretty smart for what it was.
Yeah, exactly. So I know we kind of went over this, but can you go over what pets you have?
I have 2 Chihuahuas, a Pit Bull German Shepherd, and I have 2 new cats that I'm still learning how that works.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Trey, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know your phone's basically about to die, but like, I really appreciate your time coming on here. This was more than a treat for us, and I love what you do. We definitely are like rooting behind you. You know, we'd love to have you back on too. Like if you're willing to do this again, you know, we definitely like to catch up sometime in the future. But yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm just glad we got this out there. So I really appreciate it.
I get to show my Indian pride. I'm all right, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Exactly.
Native American all day, baby. Yeah. You know, I'm Afro-Indigenous, and we just love to be out here.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Real nice
we'd love to catch up with you like sometime in the future, you know, whenever you want. So totally
no problem. Thanks for having me.
Hey, appreciate it.
All right.